What is up, YouTube? It's me, Jenny Alana, and welcome back to my channel. Hopefully you guys are doing okay, because today I want to talk about narcissism and toxic relationships. I want to talk about what it takes to heal through them and take your power back in those situations. Now, this video is not for the faint of heart. If you're in a very abusive or toxic situation that's not healthy for you, I strongly advise for you to get out of it. But guys, the goal is to ultimately heal, and I do believe that healing comes through acceptance and taking responsibility and ownership of the roles that we played in these relationships. So if you're interested in any of that, then I strongly advise for you to stick around for the rest of the video. You are here to create a world that you want to live in. You have the same power that created this beautiful world within you. If you feel powerless, if you feel insignificant, it's time for you to raise your frequency, unlock your script, and rewrite it. Okay, and we are back. So, you're interested in healing through a toxic or a narcissistic relationship, like most of us. I wanted to show my face in this one because this situation goes so deep, it's so controversial. Because everybody is talking about narcissism, and she's a narcissist, he's a narcissist, she's toxic, he's toxic, and a lot of us are toxic. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody, but guys, the true key to healing is seeing your reflection in the toxicity, or seeing yourself in the toxicity and healing that way, because the world will only show you toxic if you have toxicity within. So you want to remember that when you're pointing fingers. Now, that's the first key, is taking full responsibility. It can be painful, but I am going to show you how to do that so you can feel most powerful. Now, I am aware that we are on different wavelengths, so a lot of us are not ready to hear this. A lot of people, if you're just getting out of a relationship or abusive relationship, or if you're in one that's very painful to you, the last thing I know you want to hear is you're responsible, you need to take responsibility. So if you're not ready to hear this information, that's okay. So if it does not resonate with you, take what you can and then come back later, because you're going to come full circle eventually. You're going to see how this narcissist or this toxicity is a reflection of you. And I want to kind of point some things out so that you can really see, your reflection. And it may take a coach to do that. Now, I'm going to first start off by saying, guys, you are never a victim in any of these situations. You're actually a powerful creator who's creating this situation. Okay? You cannot experience a situation that you're not a frequency match to some way, somehow. It's always you. Now, the first thing somebody tells me is, I'm not a narcissist, I'm not selfish, I'm not angry, I'm an empath, I'm super loving, and that is all true. But you have to find that common ground, those emotions, that intent that you and that narcissist have in common. Now, you might not be consciously aware of it, because that is your ego. That's your shadow side. That is your subconscious that's hidden in the background and does not want to be found out. But you want to kind of step back and take a look at your intent and your emotions in other situations. Number one, how are you treating other people in your lives because of this narcissistic relationship or this toxic situation? How are you showing up, right? How are you showing up at work? How are you showing up with your children? Because 9 times out of 10, if you're in a toxic situation, if you're in a toxic relationship, that toxic person, that toxicity is sucking and draining all of your energy. And when that happens, your ego response is to go after that and get your energy back, to get your supply. And in the midst of getting your supply, you could potentially be neglecting everything else around you unconsciously, not realizing that you're doing it. It's very insidious, guys, but you guys have to be aware at who you're calling narcissists, because in an attempt to save yourself and get your supply, you're showing up narcissistic somewhere in life. You can't be you can't show up how a mother is supposed to show up if you're in a narcissistic relationship and all of your attention is focused on them and what they're doing to you. You can't show up how a responsible employee is supposed to show up. You can't show up how you're supposed to show up in relationships if all of your attention is given to that person. You have to understand, guys, your ego is your narcissist. Your ego is selfish. Your ego is wanting to take, do for me. I can't show up like a mother because I have to get my supplies from this person. I'm not emotionally unavailable to be a mother because I have to get I'm so busy focused on that supply. That's your ego. And that's how you are showing up narcissistic to other people. That is the common ground. Hopefully this makes sense. You can even say, well, no, I'm the perfect mother. I'm the perfect employee. I'm the perfect friend. I'm the perfect whatever. But just really think about how you're treating yourself. How is your ego allowing you to treat your own body? Are you sleeping? Are you eating? Are you taking care of yourself? Or are you drained, tired, crying, worried about that person, chasing that person? No, sweetie. That's your ego being neglectful to your own body. If you really just sit down and think about how you're showing up for yourself and how you've always shown up for yourself, that's how you're a match to the narcissist. If you're neglecting yourself, you're going to have somebody neglect you. It's like you're so stuck in this toxic situation, your ego's got a grip. You just really can't see reality for what it is. You can't see that if you let go, you'll just float. But your ego has this tight grasp. It's not realizing it's doing more harm to you because it's just like a narcissist. Your ego is just like a narcissist. It's selfish. It does not care who or what it hurts as long as it's getting its needs met. It doesn't care. It doesn't care about you, your body, your inner world, your family. Now, if this is happening to you, the first thing you would want to do is just get pissed off at yourself and act like you don't care. But that's the last thing you need to do. You need to realize that your ego has always been there to keep your inner child safe, and that's all it's doing. You have to be very aware that you are not your ego. Your ego is a mess that you created in order to keep your inner child safe, mostly from shame. You're not your ego. There's your source self, your inner child, and your ego. And all a narcissist is a person that lets the ego takes over them. And it has a totally different agenda than what your source self and your inner child has in mind. So 9 times out of 10, guys, if you are attracting these narcissists, you are living from a place of ego. You got to really understand and sit with yourself. Do you really care about this person? Or is it your ego trying to prove a point? Is it your ego trying to get its needs met? Do you really care about this relationship? Because if you did, then it would be best to let it go for now. And understand that that person needs to heal. And understand that your body, your inner child needs to heal. But no, your ego won't allow it. Because I cannot repeat this enough. Your ego is your narcissist. And if you're living from an egoic place, you're attracting toxicity and narcissists. So the real key is subduing the ego, healing that inner child, shining light on that shadow side, which is your ego, which is your subconscious that has totally different intentions than what you have. It is so insidious how it creeps up and you're just so unaware. Why do you do what you do? Why are you chasing this relationship? Right? You have to understand your shadow side. You have to know thyself so you can really get to the bottom of the things that's happening in your life, because it's always you. It's always you. The reason why this relationship is how it is because it's a reflection of you. And I just explained why. Even if you can argue, I'm the perfect daughter, I'm the perfect employee, I'm the perfect friend. That's your ego saying that. But You have to get to a common ground. Your intent is the same as a narcissist if you're trying to get supply, if you're trying to get some attention, if you're trying to get love from another person, if you need someone to love you. That's a narcissist. If you need to feel better, if you need to have them around to feel better, that is, I'm not calling you, some people with narcissistic personality disorder and it takes over their lives. But then there's some people that have these traits that they're unwilling to acknowledge, and it takes over their life. Because when you are not willing to acknowledge your shadow side, it overtakes you, because it needs to be found out in order to maintain balance. Because the thing is, you're judging this narcissist, but the whole time your ego is a narcissist. So in order to maintain balance, your judgment is creating that. Your narcissistic tendencies and not willing to shine light on it is creating this relationship. So you need to get to the bottom of your intent, your selfishness, your wounds, before you can point the finger and before for you to heal. Now, the good news, guys, is once you figure your shadow side out, once you shine light on that shadow side, what happens is it lightens up. You lighten up. Your frequency rises because it's no longer dense. You shine the light on your shadow. Your frequency rises because you were releasing things from your aura. You're going back to that trauma. How did you create this narcissist that needs all this attention and this supply? You're going back there because once you start to shine the light on your shadow side, all these things come up to the surface. You make room, you raise up again. You make room, you raise up again. And it's a process. It's a beautiful process. But you have to be first willing to acknowledge that, everything that's happening around you is a reflection of you. It always has to be. And so when you do this work, guys, everybody around you starts showing up different because you're different. Your frequency rises. You're on a totally new dimension. You're on a totally different frequency plane. And, a narcissist can't show up in your reality anymore. So it could either be the narcissist that you're with. That person is going to show up differently for you. You may not even be attracted to that person anymore, and that relationship is going to fade, and you'll be a match to something better. But you have to heal. And before you can heal, you have to acknowledge your role that you're playing. You have to acknowledge your ego. You have to acknowledge that shadow side. Okay, guys, now this is the work. This is the work. So, guys, just to recap, what you have to do is find the common ground, ultimately. Stop pointing fingers. Take your attention off of that person, off of that situation, off of that toxicity, and bring it back to yourself, because it's always ever you. It's only you. Bring your attention back within and figure out, how have I been showing up toxic? How am I a narcissist in other areas of my life? How have I been really treating myself? And get honest. Now, doing this work and really shining the light on your shadow side is so easy to go into shame and blame, and you're going to want to hate yourself. But that is the last thing you should do. You need to show yourself some love and compassion and understand that it's just been your ego and your shadow side keeping yourself safe. And that's its job. Your job is to love you and all of you. So yeah, guys, that is that for this video. Like always, I try to keep these videos short and sweet. So if you have any comments, any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Thank you for joining me, and I'll be back with some more videos pretty soon. Thank you, guys. Bye.